Hello, and welcome to the Power of Forgiveness Masterclass Part 2. My name is Michelle Catino, and I'm excited about today's workshop. Why? Because today we'll be talking about forgiving others, something that is definitely easier said than done. Recently, I had to walk away from a 25 plus year friendship because boundaries were crossed, and I had to come to the realization that some people aren't meant to continue on in your journey. Even in friendships, if someone is callous and disrespectful and not considerate of your needs and your feelings, they don't deserve your friendship. So I actually had to practice what I preach and complete the exercises that we'll be discussing today. So know that they work. Know that I am not only a teacher, I am also a student. I'm learning every day, I'm growing every day, and I'm not telling you to do anything that I haven't done myself. So again, these steps and these exercises I've actually done, and they've helped me get through. Okay, so let's get started. I hope you're ready. So as I stated in the Power of Forgiveness Part 1, which you can look at if you haven't watched yet, it's still on YouTube. Just go, press like, subscribe, and give it a watch. So in the Power of Forgiveness Part 1, I stated that forgiveness is so important for you and your sanity because it's not only a form of release, it's also a tool you can use to let go and move forward. Because holding on, well, it just won't get you anywhere. It'll get you nowhere. You have to face the issue, work through it, and move past it. That's how you do it, and that's how we'll do it today. So grab your journals or your notebook or your phone or your notepad or whatever you use to take notes, and let's get started with step 1. Okay, step 1, make a list. What are you listing? Names and reasons. I want you to list the names of the people you need to forgive, what it is you're forgiving them for, and what you need to forgive yourself for as well in each instance. So I'll give you an example. In this particular friendship, that's who I need to forgive. What I'm forgiving them for is not knowing me better. Not that they didn't know better, just not knowing me better and not understanding my boundaries and not respecting those boundaries. And what I need to forgive myself for is not setting those boundaries stronger and earlier in that relationship, because it opened a window where it was okay to do so. And when I pushed back, that pushback got little respect. So that's, one thing that I can say. So again, what I need you to do is say a name, what you're forgiving them for, and also what you need to forgive yourself for, okay? And you have to explain also why you're forgiving yourself, because that's what's important as well. I'm forgiving myself for doing that because had I set those boundaries sooner or made those boundaries clearer sooner, we would have A, never got to this, B, into the relationship or friendship much earlier on, or C, I wouldn't have had to go through the pain of dealing with what I was dealing with personally, as well as the ending of this friendship. So again, explain why you're forgiving yourself when you're doing these steps. So I'll give you time to jot down some things. Right now, I just asked you to do quick bullet points. Don't write a whole, speech or paragraph or anything like that. Just jot down a name and a few bullet points. And once the workshop is over, you can go back and you can really, write it out the way you need to write it out. Okay. So for right now, just jot down some bullet points and I'll give you a moment. All right. Now, moving on to step number 2. Step number 2 is acknowledgement. And what do I mean by acknowledgement? I want you to accept that you've caused yourself a lot of pain due to the fact you haven't forgiven yourself. And in not forgiving yourself, you have to write down if you've caused yourself more pain than the actual experience. For example, in the situation I explained and not acting sooner, I may beat myself up for not doing so. I may recall all the times I should have said this or spoken up then, or I didn't do this and I didn't do that. And I'm beating myself up and I'm causing myself so much pain when the actual experience wasn't even that bad. It happened. I said what I needed to say and it was done. So why am I still beating myself up for something that's already done, that already happened? You get what I'm saying? So what I need you to do is explain to yourself, are you actually, cause yourself more pain by holding on to this grudge or these resentful feelings or, what have you, and not letting that go. So take the moment to jot down some bullet points and we can go back to it later. All right, so now we're going to move into step number 3. Step number 3, say sorry. Yes, it's that simple. I'm sorry. So is there someone you need to ask for forgiveness from? If so, I want you to apologize to them, either in writing, in person, with a phone call, by text, whatever it is. Say, I'm sorry. Because holding on to that is harmful. It's harmful for them because they will resent you. They may feel like you don't care. They may hold it against you. And it's harmful for you because you keep thinking, what can you do? Should you? What's holding me back? Whatever it is, just take that leap of faith and say, I'm sorry. Hold yourself accountable for whatever you need to be forgiven for. Explain to them, I am holding myself accountable. I take responsibility for, I am sorry for. Give them the release they need to know that you care, to know that their feelings are valid, to know that you are validating them in such a way as to acknowledge how you wronged them and what you can do to move past it and to move forward. And again, don't be attached to the results. We spoke about this in the Power of Forgiveness Part 1. Do not attach yourself to the results. And what I mean by that is you don't have to wait for them to, accept your apology. You don't have to look for that forgiveness. Just being able to get it off of your plate, just being able to get it off of your chest is all you need to do. And that's what this is about right now when it comes to the power of forgiveness. It's letting go and releasing. So once you let go and you release, the ball's in their court. You did everything you need to do. That's your closure. If they come back, great. If they don't, great. It's okay either way. So don't attach yourself to those results. So what you're going to do now is list who it is that you need to say sorry to, and also what you will say to them in that apology. And I'll give you a few moments. Now for step number 4. Step number 4, express yourself. Step number 4 is what I had to do. Be vocal. If there are items on your list that you never addressed with the person or persons, discuss them now. Address them now. At this point, it can't hurt and it might just help the situation. Again, in my situation, I was slow to do this. I was slow to be vocal, and it made that person feel it was okay to do what they did and say what they said and behave the way they behaved. And when I tried to put a stop to it, you know, that too is disrespected because it was something that I never required before. So why am I requiring it now? So even in relationships or friendships, when it's been a time period that's gone past, and in my year, 25 plus years, you have to constantly reset boundaries. You have to constantly tell people how you're going to allow them to show up in your life. Being lax in that, not letting them know, not saying something first or, prior to something going wrong is where you're going to go wrong. So always make sure that anybody who's in your life knows what you will and will not tolerate, and how you will and how you will not be treated, and that disrespect is never going to be an acceptable type of behavior for you. Okay. So even with this, don't be attached to the outcome, okay? When you express yourself, you cannot be attached to the outcome, because you may or you may not get an apology, or you may not have your apology accepted. It's okay either way. It's fine either way. You're just looking for closure on your part. Your goal is to let it all hang out so you can move past it. So right here, I need you to say what you need to express yourself about. What is it that you need to be vocal about, either now or moving forward? So I'll give you a moment to write those things down. Okay, on to the next step. Step number 5, lesson learned. There's a blessing in every lesson if you pay attention to what's being taught. So when it comes to forgiveness, you need to make a list of what you've learned from each experience. In my situation, I learned, as I said, that I have to be more vocal. I have to be more expressive. I have to tell people who've been in my life over a certain period of time how they should, be or show up in my life moving forward. Boundaries that were okay 10 years ago may not be okay right now. So I learned to reestablish those boundaries with the people in my life and have those hard conversations and let people know, what I want, what I need, what I desire, and also give them an opportunity to tell me the same thing, so that moving forward we can be respectful of each other's, needs and time and feelings. Because time is priceless. You cannot get it back. So don't waste your time, and don't waste theirs, and don't allow them to waste yours either. Okay? Make sure that whatever it is in that lesson, you've learned something. And you also have to keep those lessons learned positive. So in my case, I think of it as that person was so disrespectful. Instead, I think of it as, I'm glad I stood up to someone who tried to demean, discredit, and disrespect me, because I won't tolerate that kind of behavior from anyone, and neither should you. So that's the positive spin I put on a negative situation. So what you need to do is list your positive takeaways, okay? And also list what you think the other person has learned, or what you hope they will learn from the experience, because this is also freeing. In my case, I hope they learn that, with friendships, you have to respect what that other friend is telling you. If a friend is asking for space, respect that. If a friend is going through something, respect that. If a friend is, not behaving the way that you want them to behave, and you've already said something to them or anything like that, respect that. You have to respect how people feel and what they're asking of you. So if someone tells you to leave them alone, I know that that's hard to hear, but sometimes you need to leave them alone, unless you feel like it's detrimental to them. Are they suicidal? Do they suffer from depression? In those cases, leaving them alone is more harm than good. So don't do it. But if they are of a great mental state and they're okay and they're just asking for space, then you have to respect that boundary. Any boundary that your friend is setting with you, they're setting it for a reason. So it's up to you to respect that. Okay. So go ahead and, write down some things about some lessons learned, and I'll give you a few moments. Now on to step number 6. Step number 6, let it go. All of it, let it go. Yes, let yourself go. You forgave, you asked for forgiveness, you held yourself accountable, you learned the lesson, and now you have to let it go. Don't attach yourself to the outcomes. Don't wait for an apology. Know that forgiveness is not about letting people walk all over you. It's about setting boundaries. And if people overstep those boundaries, be okay with cutting ties. Forgiveness is more for you than them, and it's freeing and it's liberating. So make a list of the expectations you're letting go. And, jot down some bullet points and you can flesh those out later. Now for the next step. Step number 7, refocus. I promise you, negativity has a way of seeping into your psyche no matter what you do. Your job is to refocus your thoughts and train your brain to ignore the negativity. For example, in my case, I kept replaying the disrespect and why it made me so angry over and over again in my mind. But once I finally responded to it and expressed my grievances, I let it go. And now, anytime those negative thoughts creep back in, I catch myself and I say out loud, let it go. Then I do this exercise, and I want you to do it too. It works. I focus on an object and I count to 10. Then I focus on another object and I count to 5. Then I focus on a third object and I say out loud what that third object is. And then I spell the name of it. So for instance, if that third object is a bottle of lotion, I will say lotion out loud and then spell it Lotion. And I know this sounds crazy, but what this does is refocuses your brain on something else and it takes it away from the negativity. So from there, I'm free to think of something else because something different, has happened and I've refocused my energy. Trust me, try it. It works. So again, focus on one object, count to 10. Second object, count to 5. Third object, say the name and spell it. It's going to refocus your energy and take you from the thoughts that you were having to your next thought. And your next thought, you have the power to train your brain for that next thought. So in this exercise, I want you to write down a list of things you can say or do to refocus your energy and not dwell on the situation, the outcome, or the results. Okay? So I'm going to give you a moment to jot down some things. All right, time for our final lesson. Step number 8, live your best life. The best revenge is success. The best outcome is success. The best answer to all your problems is success. Take back your power and focus on what you really want out of life. Don't let the past haunt you. It's the past. It already happened. It can no longer hurt you. This situation can no longer hurt you. You have to let it go and you have to move on. And, move on in a way, not feeling like this is more of a, oh, I'll show you type thing. No, it's not that, because their approval or their acknowledgement is a non factor. Do what you're doing for you and for you only. Heal yourself, value yourself, treat yourself good, and make sure everyone else does too. Because in living your best life, there's happiness and healing. And that's my coaching, happiness and healing coaching. And I call it that because when you heal, when you move past, when you face, whatever it is that you need to face, you work through, you go through the process, and you get to a point where you're healed and you're good. That's when you find that happiness. That's when that happiness becomes a part of your life. And there definitely is happiness and healing. So remember that. And forgiveness either holds you prisoner because you're attached to the results, or it sets you free because you're focused on your dreams. So you figure out which one do you want to do when it comes to forgiveness. Do you want to be held hostage, or do you want to be set free? Okay? That's the most important lesson that you can have when it comes to forgiveness. So in this step, I want you to write yourself a letter of what the power of forgiveness is and how it's freeing to you. Say that I'm letting go of, fill in the blank, and I'm welcoming, fill in the blank. And make sure that you keep it positive and you keep it pushing. So for instance, you can say, I'm letting go of this toxic person and I'm welcoming people who love me, respect me, and treat me the way I deserve to be treated. And that's keeping it positive and that's keeping it pushing, because you're no longer going to give your time and your energy to that person or that situation. You're going to let that go and you're moving on, and you're moving on to focus on things that are good for you, things that feel good to you, things and people who are for you. Okay? So again, keep it positive and keep it pushing. Okay. So I'm going to give you a moment to write down some ways that you can heal yourself and you can live your best life. So I'll give you a few moments. All right, love bugs. I hope today was helpful and you've gained some useful tools that allow you to move on, let go, and embrace your newfound freedom. And if you have any questions or you need tips, need advice, or looking for happiness and healing, or just need a positive word every day, let's connect. Again, my email is mcatinomlc@gmail.com. And my social media handle is @MichelleCatino. I'm also available for one-on-one and group coaching. I'm here to help you be the best you possible, because there definitely is happiness in healing. So please press that like button and please subscribe to my channel. And thanks for watching. See you soon, love bugs. Take care.